Welcome back to this week's video. I want to congratulate you if you've been watching all of these. Great job. You're investing in your health. A lot of people we hear, they'll say, like, I don't have time to, invest in my health or learn about new things, but they have plenty of time to watch 1, 2, 3 hours a day of movies or Netflix. So, like, great job to you. You're watching these videos. It's one of those things where you get in what you put out. And with your health, it's the same thing. The more energy and time you invest into it, you're going to get that much benefit of it as you age with feeling better and all the wonderful benefits we've talked about when you're leading a healthier lifestyle. And today's video, I want to talk about the number one request we've had for a lot of people is exercise. And I know as we went through our program, one of the first things people asked was like, well, why can't I exercise during the weight loss portion of it? And it's not that you can't exercise during it, it just makes it much more difficult. And the reason being is the harder that you push, and some of you might have like a really in-depth background of exercise and strength training, and some of you maybe have never started it. But if you've put in any amount of time, you know that the harder you push in the gym, whether you're doing cardio, you're lifting weights, or like just the more you're pushing your body, the more your body kind of responds back by saying like, I'm really hungry, feed me. I need to repair all of the so-called damage that you did, whether you're working on your cardiovascular state or you're tearing down the muscle fibers when you're strength training. Your body has to replenish that and repair. So then it naturally tells you to eat more. The problem with weight loss is we need you in a calorie deficit. So there's a very tricky fine line between getting you in a calorie deficit, but allowing you to work out really hard to still gain muscle. It's not that it can't be done. I've just found for the average person, it's going to be very, very difficult. There's the very small percentage of people who can make it work long term. But the problem is when you're doing that, your deficit's going to be much smaller. So the problem is if you have one bad weekend, that can wipe out like a week or two of a deficit. And that's why for our program initially, we want to try to focus on building up the foundation of what you're doing, which is the healthy food, because everybody has to eat. We don't have the option to not. You do have the option or not if you want to exercise, but we don't have the option if we're going to eat food or not. So that's where we want to build that base and that foundation and then start to add this in the maintenance phase. And exercise is wonderful for the maintenance phase. It's actually one of the best things that you can do along with the food plan. And there's research that shows that if you try to maintain your weight loss with just the food or just like the diet or the food portion alone, it's more difficult than if you do it with food plus exercise. And I want to do is go over all those benefits for you, give you the information. Obviously, you get to make your own choice and your decision. That's up to you. But like I said, my goal is to be here and just to give you as much knowledge and education as possible. So hopefully that you can become more knowledgeable and empower yourself to make better health decisions. So one of the biggest benefits, and there's a bunch of them, I want to go over all these, but from a weight loss perspective and a weight management perspective, when you're exercising, one of the most important things you're doing is you're helping to regulate your calories for the day. So if you do go exercise and you burn 100 or 150 calories a day, that's obviously giving you a little bit more of a buffer for the day. It's also helping your metabolism. So the more that you can keep lean muscle, or if you can add lean muscle to your body, the more it's going to help your metabolism, as your muscle burns 3 times more calories than fat does. It's also been shown that it's going to help your hunger hormones more, the more that you exercise, along with helping your stress levels. People find that they sleep better. And overall, there's research that shows that the more moderate exercise you do, it actually can decrease your depression or anxiety symptoms by 30 to 40%, which is a pretty strong balance for your mental health, which is really important too. And one of the biggest problems is as we age, specifically once we get over 35 and 40, you naturally start to lose your muscle mass. So the biggest thing is by doing strength training with a good nutrition plan, you're going to be able to preserve more of your muscle. And as we age, and whether you're 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, but as we get a little bit more advanced in life, one of the number one causes of injury to elderly people is falls and fractures. So as you go through and as you focus on your strength training, that's going to help your mobility, that's going to help your balance. It's going to help you just to be a much more active person versus a sedentary lifestyle. And it shows that it decreases your all mortality rate by 10 to 20%. So it's very important to try to focus on some amount of strength training to help your body age as gracefully as possible. And studies have shown that if you can focus on strength and balance training, it can actually decrease the likelihood of a fall by 20 to 40%, which is a large parameter. And beyond just the mental health improvements that you feel, just when you exercise, everybody just generally feels better overall, probably puts you in a better mood, more energy. But it's just shown that as you go through it and you do strength training, and what they found is if you do at least 2 to 3 times per week, and this doesn't have to be massive, but if you do 2 to 3 times per week and you're doing at least 30 minutes, there's a whole bunch of stats. And I'm going to read some of these to you that it shows. It lowers your stroke mortality rate by 10%. It lowers heart disease by over 7%. Helps with insulin sensitivity also. And then they've done markers where they've looked at your quad or your grip strength. The more that that decreases, the more that your risk of any death or any cause mortalities, whether we call it, along with your cardiovascular risk goes up. So it's very important that as you age, you take care of your body to stay stronger. As far as the weight management perspective goes, it's going to help you to maintain the muscle mass better as long as you're having protein, but it's also going to help give you a little bit of calorie buffer. And this is a great technique tool that I use for, like we talked about a couple of videos ago. If you go into maintenance and you're doing great, you're weighing yourself a couple times a week, you're watching the scale, and you're kind of staying happy where you want to go, a little bit of that buffer up and down, like we talked about. But also, you do go and maybe you have like a little rougher weekend, or you go and you have um, like a vacation and you want to have more fun and enjoy it. And that's by all means, you should do that. Our goal is not to tell you to, never enjoy food and never have fun. But we have to know that there's something we can do to help take that damage off. If we don't do that, we're going to see the scale go up over time. You don't want to let that happen. Okay. That's the biggest concern for me is people not paying attention to any of these principles, and they're pretty basic. It's over time, you're going to see that weight come back on. It just doesn't jump on. So you don't go from a Monday to a Friday and you put 10 pounds back on and you go, whoa, what the heck happened there? It slowly creeps on, and that's the issue. And it's the same thing for a lot of people when they go through a program is they'll lose 30 pounds, but they don't really remember what they looked like before. That's why we always recommend taking before and after photos, because then you can see that like day 0 to day 60 change, which is always great for people to see. So if you have that weekend where you do go way over and you have fun or whatever the situation is, that's fine. Friends, family, doesn't really matter, or vacation. What I would recommend, like we talked about, is cutting those calories back a little bit, and particularly maybe pumping up your protein and your fiber a little bit more, bringing down the carbs and the fat. But then as you can put that exercise in, it's just going to help you build a little bit more buffer. So one, the more that you sweat too, like we talked about, a lot of that short-term weight gain is water weight. The more you exercise and you sweat, you're going to start to get that excess water out of your body, but also it's going to give you that calorie buffer. So if you're normally following your plan and you work out and you get, say, 150 or 200 calories you burn, well, each day over about 4 or 5, 6 days, you're going to see a lot of that excess from the weekend that you put on. It's going to come off really quickly. So I highly recommend that exercise is something that you look at for your maintenance phase. Like we discussed, it's really tough to do it with the reduction phase unless you're like a super disciplined person, which it's a lot harder to be fun. It's easier to get the weight off quickly, then add the exercise back in for your maintenance plan. If you're somebody that has a long background in it, great. I assume you're doing that. You're still doing it. Like I said, a lot of the research shows you want to be doing ideally like 2 to 3 days a week of strength training for 30 minutes. And it doesn't have to be these crazy movements. Some people are going to be a little bit more advanced in age and maybe have some physical ailments. So obviously, always talk to your medical doctor or discuss this with a personal trainer or something that could walk you through it. But just doing basic movements and stimulus to strengthen those muscles, and then adding a little bit of cardiovascular, even if it's just like a moderate state of walking. Even that is enough. You don't have to be sprinting and going all out. Especially as we get older, it's going to just obviously increase the risk of injuries for some people. But just trying to do something. And if you're somebody that doesn't have any background at all, there's a ton of different references for you. There's all sorts of videos on the internet if you want to do like home exercises, depending on what the intensity that you want it to be. Full body exercises you can do from home, all the way up to if you want to go to a gym. Obviously, there's classes or working with a trainer to walk you through the basics of what to do. Most of your modern gyms are going to be so easy to go into because most of them are going to have so many machines that you don't even have to worry about trying to load on like weights onto barbells or dumbbells, things like that. You just pull a pin, you put it in the weight you want, and you can work on repping out and stimulating those muscles, which is the most important thing. So if you haven't been looking into strength training or exercising, it's very important at a bare minimum try to get a couple of days a week in. I think it's going to really help you with your weight management. It's one of the keys that I think has helped a lot of clients that we followed up with, along with just my personal preference too. So thank you again. Appreciate you watching these videos. I'm going to continue to make these for you. I hope that you get some knowledge out of it, and it's able to help you make the better decisions and choices as you age. As always, we always are very appreciative of any referrals you bring to our offices. We're very grateful for that. Our goal is to help as many people as possible. Right now, I know there's like a massive push for GLP-1s. If you watch TV or anything like that, you're going to see it. As you know, that the goal of a lot of pharmaceutical companies is to have you take something for the rest of your life because you're dependent on it. Obviously, that makes them a significant amount of money. And if you just look at any of those companies' stock margins from once they've started adding GLP-1, you can see it's just massive money for them. I don't really think it's like the long-term best decisions for a lot of people since they're not really teaching you what to eat or do. It's just take this and you can't eat. So, any referrals that you can give to us, we greatly appreciate it. We're here to help people. And have a great day. If you have any other topics or discussions that you would like, send an email into the office and I'll do my best to try to cover those. Thank you.